What if Modulo Yuji acidly awakens the clan that once forces sorcerers and courses to fight side by side, not for sake of peace but because neither side could defeat them alone. The only way to stop them was to steal them away, and without knowing it, Yuji had already set everything in motion. It all began when he discovered a forgotten legend about three relics hiding across Japan. Whoever united the relics would restore balance to the world. Without hesitation, Yuji set out to find the first relic hidden deep in the mountains, in a place completely isolated from the rest of the world. There are no guards, no courses, no traps, only silence and strange structure holding the ice shard in a place as if it is waiting for something precise. The moment Yuji tries to take it, he realizes it doesn't respond to strange or rough course energy. Instead, any unstable output triggers a reaction in the environment itself. His cursed energy begins leaking, and the leakage forms cursed spirits around the area. At first, Yuji treats them as an obstacle and defeats them using cursed energy, but he quickly realizes the rule of the trio. Every time he fights with unstoppable output, he creates more cursed spirits, turning combat itself into the cause of failure. To break this cycle, he stops relying on the cursed energy in combat and uses pure physical strength instead. This prevents new distortions, but creates a harsher problem. Survival and progress are not separate, and time inside the trail becomes a limiting factor with no guarantee of return if he leaves. Food, water, and exhaustion slowly begin to matter more than the relic itself. Every lapse in control brings Spirit back, forcing him into another fight and resetting his progress. The trail becomes a continuous loop of control, failure, and adaptation. Weeks pass, the cycle slowly weakens as Yuji learns to maintain stability under pressure. Minor mistakes no longer immediately trigger cursed spirits, giving him a narrow window to attempt full control again. He removes all unnecessary output and focuses only on precious. This time, the structure finally opens and the ice shard simply appears in front of him. Yuji doesn't react with excitement or relief. He accepts it as a result of everything he endured. Completely exhausted, he collapses to his knees as the entire area falls into silence, as if the trio has officially ended. The second relic is located inside an abandoned Zen area facility, deep within a steel structure that was never meant to be reopened. In the center of the main hall stands a shadow seal, embedded into a stone platform, completely unguarded as if it is waiting to be taken. The moment Yuji steps closer, the trio activates. From the ground, cursed energy gathers and forms a shadow-like construct, a perfect combat copy of Yuji with the same speed, strength, and cursed energy output, but without hesitation. Yuji immediately assumes it is a battle and strikes first, but the shadow mirrors him instantly matching every punch, kick, and cursed energy released without delay. He increases intensity, changes rhythm, and pushes them in style adaptation, yet every adjustment is perfectly reflected back at him. Means thrown into repetition, and the fight becomes a loop of identical exchanges, until Yuji forces everything into a final full output strike meant to break the copy through raw superiority. But the attack lands and the shadow remains standing, then immediately returns the same sequence, forcing Yuji back for the first time without the answer left in his mind. In the moment, he noticed something critical. The shadow never attacks first, it only reacts, and it only exists as long as he continues judging it. The realization shifts everything, and Yuji stops moving completely, releases cursed energy, and refuses to reinitiate combat. The shadow mirrors him, but with nothing left to reflect, it begins to destabilize. Its form breaking apart not from damage, but from lack of input, until it collapses into cursed energy particles and disappears entirely. Silence returns to the chamber, and the shadow seal releases from the pedestal and falls into place without resistance. Yuji takes it without reaction, no victory, only understanding. As he leaves the structure, he quickly realizes the truth of the trio. It only becomes a battle if he refuses to stop. The final relic lies deep inside a sealed chamber that shows no reaction to cursed energy. Unlike the previous trials, there are no illusions and no battles, only the blood core floating in the center of the room. As Yuji steps closer, the relic activates and the single message appears. To climb the blood core, something within you must be permanently given up. Three clear options form in front of Yuji. Keep full cursed energy capacity, but the blood core will never be obtained. Lose a significant portion of cursed energy permanently, but gain access to relic. Obtain the blood core, but sacrifice your future growth potential in cursed energy. There is no correct answer, only what he's willing to lose. Yuji tries to be past the condition, testing the relic with cursed energy, physical force, even precious control, but nothing works. Slowly, he understands the rule. Nothing is given, only exchange. Yuji stops searching for the perfect option. Instead, he focuses on what he can live without and still continue forward. After a long silence, he chooses not the safest path, not the strongest future, but the one where I can still move forward after the loss. The moment the choice is made, the blood core reacts instantly. A surge of cursed energy flows through his body, not an attack, but a permanent removal. A portion of his cursed energy capacity is sealed away, as if it never belonged to him in the first place. His body immediately feels the difference. He is weaker, now slightly noticeable. The jumper stabilizes, the blood core descends and becomes accessible. Yuji takes it without hesitation. No victory, no celebration, only silence. The power is still there, but something in him is no longer complete. After obtaining the Eye Shard, Shadow Seal, and Blood Core, Yuji expects the system to activate and restore balance as the legend described, but nothing happens immediately. Instead, the relics begin reacting to each other. Yuji assumes this part of the process, but the reaction intensifies each time the relics are near one another. Across Japan, Jujutsu system begin to behave strangely. Sealed areas flicker, all barriers briefly reactivate. Yuji notices stability, yet still believes it is a transition phase toward balance. Far away, ancient Jujutsu seals activate. For the first time in centuries, Yuji realizes something feels off about the relics, and beneath everything something begins to awaken. The Seigen clan. The figures start appearing around him, one after another, no courses, no sorcerers, member of an ancient clan that should no longer exist. The Seigen clan. Some wear traditional robes. None of them seem surprised to be there, as if they have simply awakened from a long sleep. Yuji immediately prepares for the fight, but no one attacks. Instead, the crowd parts and the man slowly walks forward. Seigen Akihito, the founder and leader of the Seigen clan. Akihito looks at the relics, then at Yuji, and smiles. So, you are the one who brought us back. He thanks Yuji for completing what countless generations failed to do. According to Akihito, the relics were never meant to restore balance. They were meant to restore the people capable of creating it, the Seigen clan. Akihito then reveals his plan. For centuries, sources have treated curses as the enemy, but curses are only symptoms. The real source has always been humanity itself. Fear, hatred, jealousy. Every curse begins with human emotion. So instead of fighting curses forever, Akihito intends to remove their source. Not by killing people, not by ruling them, but by suppressing the extreme emotions that create cursed energy in the first place. If he succeeds, curses will eventually disappear, so will most human suffering. At first, Yuji rejects the idea, but the day passes he begins seeing the effects. Violence decreases, suicides becomes rare. Curses become disappearing, people stop hurting each other, the world generally becomes more peaceful. If something feels wrong, artists stop creating, dreams fade, ambition disappears, people live, but they are no longer feel alive. For the first time, Yuji has no immediate answer, because Akihito is not trying to destroy the world, he is trying to save it. Akihito and Yuji stand facing each other as the world around them remains unnaturally perfect, silent streets filled with people who no longer suffer, but also no longer feel alive in any meaningful way. Akihito calmly states that the cycle of courses has ended and humanity has finally been freed from pain. Yet Yuji looks at the empty expression of the people around them and answers coldly that this is not freedom, only an empty shell of existence stripped of what makes it human. Without hesitation, Yuji suddenly moves forward, aiming straight for the relics in Akihito's chest, but the moment he crosses the distance, everything collapses into darkness as Akihito activates his final ability. Yuji does not feel his body anymore, only his awareness sinking into endless void where a single whisper repeats from every direction. Yuji, Yuji, Yuji. growing louder until it becomes unbearable. Pressure that crushes his thoughts and fragments his sense of self. Memories flash uncontrollably until everything begins to fade under the weight of whisper, and for the first time since Sukuna, Yuji stops existing as a fighter and starts disappearing as a person. So at the edge of the collapsing consciousness, one simple voice cuts through the noise. You're strong. And something inside him shifts, not a thought, not decision, but a return to something far older than language. Yuji's awareness breaks free, not through resistance, but through surrender, as he stops trying to understand or respond and instead drops into a state of pure instinct where his body no longer follows commands, only motion. Back in reality, his body suddenly rises on its own, breathing sharp and unstable, and Akihito immediately attempts to seize control again, but this time there is nothing coherent left to grab, only rough movement without tension or structure. Yuji steps forward again and then again, and with each movement the pressure that once restrained him begins to slip, because there is no longer the defined self for the control to bind, only instinct reacting faster than thought. For the first time, Akihito feels uncertainty as Yuji closes the distance without hesitation, not because he is resisting the control, but because he has moved beyond the point when control applies at all. Akihito attacks and Yuji dodges without prediction, counterattacks without planning, and breaks through each exchange as if his body is reacting before the world has time to define what is happening. Yuji finally reaches him and in a single continuous motion grabs the object in Akihito's chest. The combined relic of the Eye Shard, Shadow Seal, and Blood Core, and tears it free as a shockwave ripples through the world, bends Japan, shattering the ancient Seigan network that had been holding everything in place. Color, sound, and emotion rush back into reality, all at once as Akihito falls to one knee, his body beginning to fracture, not as a wound but as the collapse of something that can no longer exist in the world that rejected its shape. Yuji stands over him in silence, while Akihito looks up for the last time, a faint, almost peaceful smiling forming as he says, "You choose house, I still believe in them." As the final cracks spread and Akihito dissolves into cursed energy, the perfect world disappears with him, leaving behind a flawed but living reality where people will suffer again, but also dream, fail, and choose for themselves as the sun rises over Japan. If you enjoy this alternate Jujutsu story, you'll probably love this one.